Hello everyone, in this video we are going to be taking a look at a scenario where civilization start no. With the alternative future of the world. Let me just make sure that New Zealand's in the thing, because I always forget to have them. Because I normally cut a bit of the right screen off. There we go. In the last video, yeah. A certain world war has just happened. And I slightly changed the name of it on a little thing I said on Discord. So instead of being the war of democracy and communism, it's now the clash of democracy and communism. So yeah, let's just get on with this. But before I do, I'm trying to get to 350 subs by the end of the year. Blah blah blah. Let's get on with this. Also, if I randomly stop, it's because I'm getting a notification on WhatsApp for something I'm doing tomorrow. Anyways, let's get on with this. And we are going to be beginning over here in Europe, where the EU is going to get very demolished very quickly, as this island, I'm on Toronto 50, as this island very quickly gets taken. I believe Ireland and Western Poland, which is now just Poland, begins getting very invaded, they begin invading very quickly. But never fear, the EU is here. Goodbye, Czechia, you're dead now. And Slovakia begins to push out, doing decent numbers against the nations around. And Italy's dead. Italy's not going to be lasting very long. They are going to be dying. Going over here, though, actually, let me just do what I did last time. There we go. Regarding the Cypriots, they are going to be falling. It would be very nice if I didn't have to hold that button. Anyways, yeah. But they aren't the first area to fall, they are the first area to fall, but not going to be the last, as over here, this nation is going to lose everything. So yeah, but these nations aren't going to be able to push into Africa. Why is that? Ethiopia is somehow holding their own. Now, they are going to get invaded a lot, as a lot of land over here is going to get invaded. But they are going to be able to... In fact, no, it's not even all of that. It's basically just Sudan that falls, or South Sudan that falls. As Ethiopia and Somalia and Eritrea agree, they're basically fine. Obviously, there's going to be a bit of invasion. So yeah. And regarding Western Africa, it's basically just a completely straight line, looking like this. And, well, not really straight up, like a completely, basically like the same kind of line. And I say that because Nigeria, Nigeria, Algeria, and Mauritania are invading into Libya. So that's where that front line is going to last for now. And regarding South Africa, yep, South Africa is a beast. They are doing concerningly well. So yeah, going away from Africa and Europe. Oh, right, goodbye, you. Anyways, going away from there. Yeah, they're not going to be lasting very long. But now we go up to North America, where these front lines are going to get quite, what's the word? Interesting, that's the word. First of all, we're going to be going over to California, where they're going to start to get pushed into from the north, but they're going to also push into the US with help from Mexico in the south, looking like this. They're going to be able to connect up to Texas, who is also helping invade, getting roughly half of, I believe, New Mexico, and they connect up to Florida. They are, however, getting invaded, as well as Florida is getting invaded, basically only being Florida now, with just a little bit more. So yeah, in fact, if I just do this, that's basically just Florida. So yeah, going away from that though, the Bahamas, I forgot to color them in, let's just imagine that they got invaded. And Cuba is also going. In fact, just a majority of the Caribbean is going to be falling. As Cuba, Haiti, and Dominica, or Dominican Republic, I always forget, they're going to be falling. And Jamaica is going to be losing a majority of the island. Somehow they are lasting the longest. So yeah, we're going away from that, and going up to the northern parts of North America. Greenland, being used to this terrain, is going to be able to fully kick the US out, and also kick them out from some of these Northern Islands. I mean, islands, not Ireland. Sorry, I said Northern Irelands because Northern Ireland. And I did do a Doodle Empires video earlier. Oh yeah, watch my Doodle Empires video. It's very cool. Anyways, yeah, these islands are starting to fall. But that's the last good thing for now. As Canada and Quebec are just not going to be lasting very long. Yeah, Newfoundland's going to be falling, then the majority of Quebec. But the rest is going to be able to stay. So yeah, going away from that and going over to Asia. Asia's falling. Vietnam and Laos, no, Cambodia, sorry, are both going to very quickly fall. Borneo and Brunei die. The Philippines also get invaded, as well as what I like to call Starry Island and Timor-Leste, and just the entire island of Timor is going to fall. Japan is going to be losing this I said southern Iceland. They're going to be losing the southern Iceland, as well as the southern half of their country, and some of the northern half. In fact, they're basically just reduced to Tokyo. So there we go. Going away from that, and going over to here, Egypt is going to be basically just reduced over to Cairo. I believe that's Cairo. And Iraq is going to be doing surprisingly well, as they aren't really going to get invaded. In fact, basically the only frontline movements near their nation, or in their nation, are them pushing into other nations, looking like, what? That's confusing. Why is there a pixel of invaded color over here? Oh well, anyways. Yeah, they're somehow going to be holding their own against, well, despite literally being fully encircled. I can guarantee this strait is probably blockaded. And that's the only way that they can get to any allies. But yeah, Iraq is somehow holding their own, despite being surrounded by probably like 10 nations. So yeah, say goodbye to Qatar. Also, like I probably should say this, but I'm gonna have these guys, they will probably get invaded, so please don't kill me in the comments. So yeah, in fact they are getting invaded, but not the actual cities though so far. So yeah. Anyways, going away from that, and going over to the European theatre once again, the Balkan Federation is going to be doing surprisingly well, knocking out Hungary with the help of Slovakia, and roughly all of Bulgaria, and a decent chunk of Romania. We are going to be seeing Thrace start to get invaded too, so yeah, let's leave that front line for now. Let's go back up to this front line. Yeah, probably should have expected this, but basically all the unlivable areas of Norway and Sweden are going to get invaded. So yeah, let's just go away from that. We're going over to Europe. Yeah, these guys... Oh wait, I don't have the regular city layer up. My bad. There we go. Yeah, this is going a bit bad. And not just that, but these guys are going to be fully being re-liberated, as well as a little bit of... In fact, this whole area is re-liberated, looking like this. In fact, probably more. Looking like this. So, yeah. Those aren't going to be the only areas that are going to be getting re-liberated, though. As going over to the blue team, we're going to be seeing some areas over here get liberated. As Central American forces start to split up, some going... Basically, no, let me say how the troops are getting split. South America, 50% are going up to North America. No, 33 over to Africa and Europe. 33 up to North America, and then the rest over to the Caribbean. And with those Caribbean supplies, Jamaica is fully liberated, as they were on the brink of collapse. The Dominican Republic gets re-liberated, as well as Haiti, and Cuba has multiple landings made on it, one of them taking Havana. And these guys, welcome back. Although Puerto Rico is going to stay annexed. So yeah, well not annexed, but they're going to stay controlled by the US. So yeah, anyways, going away from this, and going back over to here, a few other areas are going to start to get liberated, mainly these areas. But that's about it. As if we go away from Borneo, and we go over to this Indonesian island, yep, they're getting invaded very quickly. Losing this city, and then this city. And then the worst thing that could happen, many landings are made on Java looking like this and this. Order cards. I always forget what one is the island and what is the actual, sea. So yeah, multiple areas are just falling to, Asian, not even like East Asian, just Asian forces basically. Because the only couple nations in Asia that aren't on their side, they've basically all been wiped out with the exception of Iraq and Japan. Because Japan's barely holding on, and Iraq is absolutely locking in. I had a heart attack. I thought Sri Lanka was blue for some reason. Anyways, more areas are going to start to fall. And not just that, a landing is made in Papua New Guinea, which is scaring the Australians. And they are starting to ask South Africa for some help. South Africa isn't listening, as they are continuing to start to demolish the African nations. Also, I really should add some rivers. I really need to add the river layer onto here. I can't be bothered. Anyways, yeah. Nations are just starting to fall to South Africa. And South Africa has one of the top 5 militaries in Africa. The strongest being Nigeria, then Ethiopia, then Algeria, then it's them, and then it's, surprisingly enough, Libya. So they have the 4th strongest military in Africa. And them and Nigeria are going to start to showcase it, as they managed to fully take the the Atlantic coast, sorry. So they fully take over the Atlantic coast of Africa. But that's roughly where the good stuff ends, as they are going to start to get invaded over here. As the EAF starts to regain all their troops, or not all their troops, but they start to regain some troops, and that is going to cause for the invasion of South Africa, and also the landing in Madagascar, and taking of Madagascar. And this island over here is going to be sinking, as well as this one. Also, I might have been wrong my whole life. I think that might be the Seychelles. Oh well, it's Mauritius in my eyes. Anyways, going away from tiny islands that no longer exist in my series, South Africa is falling quite rapidly, as this whole area gets fallen, which is also going to allow the re-liberation of some areas over here, looking like this, which is also going to cause a lot of troops to get pushed back here, and Nigeria is going to have to work very hard, as eventually, basically everywhere is re-liberated by the red team, except for some of Angola and this little area. And these guys are very angry about that, because they really want their coastal access back. Anyways, going away from that, we're going to be going up to the US, as they are finally going to be knocking some nations out of the war. Those nations are going to be Quebec and Iceland, who is still an independent nation, and is one of 6 nations to never change. No, 7, 8. One of a couple nations to never change in the mapping series so far, because other nations have, like England lost the rest of the British Isles. Basically all of Europe has changed. So yeah. Anyways, Greenland. Yeah, Greenland is not going to be lasting any longer. They had their moment of locking in, they had their aura farming moment, and now they're dead. So yeah, North America is basically all red. But now, South American troops are starting to panic, and they're now going to be sending 50% of their troops over to here, no, 40% of their troops over to here, and 60 up to North America. But will it be enough? I don't know. I'm not the one who's declaring war, I'm just the one who's dictating the war. Anyways, going over to the Caribbean, these guys are fully liberated. I coloured these guys in wrong. They are going to be fully coloured in. No, they're going to be fully liberated, sorry, I cannot English today. And not just that, a landing is made in Puerto Rico and is fully taken, which is very surprising. And that is going to anger the US a lot. And do you want to know what that's going to cause? Yes. These guys are now locking in, and that's going to cause the full liberation of their nation. It's going to cause California and Baja California to fully collapse. A lot more of Florida to fully collapse. and Texas is scared. But they will be living, and eventually we see something very surprising happen. We see multiple areas start to unite their forces in order to help, such as some of Western Africa, mainly just Western Sahara and Mauritania, helping out Florida, as well as the Caribbean helping out Florida. Central America and Brazil and Peru are going to be helping out Mexico, and Argentina is going to be sending their forces to Africa. So, yeah, when that happens, some liberation is made, but not much. They re-liberate all of Mexico, all of Mexico, and they take this. So yeah, but that's not very good considering considering Europe is now looking quite red, and not just that, but yeah, you just lost the Nordics, and you just lost Denmark, and you just lost like half of Germany. So yeah, the war is starting to look in the favor of the red team. Going over to Iraq though, Iraq is still locking in. Pop off Iraq. You got this. Oh, Saudi Arabia just lost their capital. Neat. Yeah. But you might be wondering, why is Iraq so good at this? I don't know. Maybe there's some unknown like fluid in Mesopotamia. Nope, that's Adidas thing. Anyways, going away from that. Hello there, Egypt. How are you, Egypt? Oh, okay, Egypt. Goodbye, Egypt. Yep, Egypt's red now. And not just that, but Tunisia just fell. And not just that, but they are knocking on the doorsteps of Algiers, and they're like, hey, how are you? Would you like to buy our cookies? They say no and they get shot, so yeah, they're dead now. The Girl Scouts had guns for some reason. Maybe some Americans were funding them. So yeah, these guys are just starting to fully collapse now. And the African theatre may soon come to a close, as we see these guys get fully liberated. And not just that, but regarding the African front down here, we see Angola fully collapse, and we see areas of South Africa start to rebel, or not rebel, but they start to surrender. One being a large portion of Namibia, another being forces over here start to surrender, and then just random pockets in the nation just start to surrender, despite being nowhere near invading forces, including these two cities. So yeah, the nation might collapse soon. But good news for the blue team. Nigeria has fully liberated their country, and they are starting to push further into Africa. Nigeria is truly the MVP of this war. So yeah, they are somehow doing all of this by themselves, basically. Why am I saying by themselves? Algeria is just a bunch of desert at this point, except like this little area over here. These areas have sunk. Ethiopia they're living, but it's a little hard. They have liberated a lot of their nation, though. They haven't been able to push into enemy territory yet, but they have been able to liberate a lot of their nation. Looking like this. And so the reason that they can't, go any further is these guys are helping others, or are just a giant desert. They are nearly dying, or they are dying, and it's like they have chickenpox. So yeah, this is basically all Nigeria can do for now. Going away from that, though, we're going to be going up to Europe. Some areas are going to start to collapse. One area is going to be the southern front line, where we are going to be seeing the full collapse of the Balkan front line, where all of these areas are going to go back under red team control, and Hungary is going to be fully liberated. Not just that, but these guys are going to get invaded, as where Serbia modernly is, as well as Croatia, they're going to get invaded and fully annexed. Well, not fully annexed yet, but yeah, the Balkan Federation just lost the northern half of the Federation, and now it's just Greece. Greece, activate your inner Sparta. Activate your inner Byzantine. I'll come back to you later, please. I beg you, don't collapse. Anyways, Northern Europe, or just the rest of Europe. How are you? Oh, okay. I didn't even get to finish my sentence, but I guess you're not feeling very good. So yeah, the European Union is starting to just full on collapse. But let's go away from that though, and let's see how Oceania is doing. Because I'm gonna be honest, I feel like Oceania might have one of the best front lines over here. Why do I feel like this? Be honest. The emus. They're horrifying, aren't they? Be honest, would you want to invade a nation that's full of emus? Asia would, and they did it successfully. Anyways, going away from that, and me shrinking my brush again, that whole yap was just like increase the brush to a size where I could just fully encompass all of Oceania. Anyways, going away from that, South Africa. Yeah, areas just start to connect up to each other, as this little pocket, little supply groups, connect up to this one. Then just each little pocket eventually has at least one connection looking like this. And eventually they start to connect up to each other, looking like this. And eventually, after a bunch of weird lines are drawn, just all of these are supply groups, this whole area, basically all of that, is just going to go fully red, looking like this. And now, the last stand for Southern Africa. In fact, basically just the last stand for Africa, as Nigeria is basically the only nation doing stuff up here. Ethiopia cannot help anyone because they are using all of their military and some civilians as meat shields to end up just living. And South Africa. Look, South Africa is 585 pixels. They are over 190,000 pixels. That is basically 0.5% of their nation remaining. That's not a lot. Although, to be fair, it is the capital. So that is pretty good. Anyways, going away from this and going back up to North America. The Americans. Yeah, the Americans are doing some pretty American things, and they are now just pushing through all of these guys. Because they aren't really funding Europe, because they believe the Soviets and the Chinese and everywhere in India, and basically all of Southeast Asia, can probably defeat one nation. So, and they are right, and eventually. Hello, South America. We have come to steal your skin. And yeah, after this, areas are just going to start to collapse. All of South America is going to decide to surrender, looking like this. And that will be able to lead. Why are you white? And that will be able to lead for the liberation of you, and you, and for some reason you are colored blue, and you. So that's going to cause all of South America to be red. And surprisingly enough, Iraq hasn't had their front lines get stalled. Well, they have got stalled, but they haven't got pushed back. They still look like this somehow, having access to the Caspian, not quite the Red Sea. And going away from this, we are going to be seeing a few nations swap sides. I lied. No one. Italy isn't an occupied. Well, there's no United Italy, so they can't surrender. I mean, they can't swap sides. So yeah. But after this, one last push is going to happen, which will end up causing the end of this war. Algeria is going to fully surrender. The European Union just lost Naples. Greece, at least they haven't fully fallen yet. Good job, Greece. These islands, they are very red. Crete, also very red. Italy, red. And after this, one last command is made by the Soviets, China, and Pakistan. Go for Paris and Madrid. And after that, I would say probably 40 million troops would go against probably at most 10 million, because think, this is Europe, basically just all of Western Europe and all forces they can get from their allies, any Greek refugees, Scotland, Ireland, England, any African troops that can come here, and any troops from any other nation that fell. So probably like, at most, half the amount of these guys. Oh yeah, Japan. Good job, Japan. Oh, for God's sake. Yep, Japan is dead. And after that last call is made, a gigantic front line is made, cutting France off from Madrid, or just Iberia in general. Iberia is encircled, Greece falls, England has a couple landings, or just the British Isles in general have a couple landings but don't fully surrender. England will then eventually surrender, as well as the rest of the Celtics. Madrid is going to fall. And on the 19th of June, 2112, 17 years after World War V has started, the final front line is going to take place, being in the capital of the European Union, and after 5 months, it's going to end in a red team victory. And that is going to end World War V. But as you noticed, the video is not done yet, if you look at the little red bar at the bottom of your screen. Why? I'm making the peace treaty. So yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm just going to share my whole screen for this. Where is my entire screen? Is it this? No. How do I show my entire screen? Oh, my room's still on, my bad. I'm going to be doing this now. I'm getting rid of this layer. And I'm getting rid of that layer. Because I'm not changing all of that. I'm sorry, but I really cannot be asked to change all of that. I do try a lot, but I'm too lazy to do all that. So now, let's see what this peace treaty is going to look like. Of possibly the last World War. I'm done. That took like an hour. That took a good like half an hour, I think. Anyways, let's get on with this. Going from west to east. Or in order, I'm going to go North America, South America, Oceania, Africa, and I'm going to do Eurasia combined. So, let's get on with this. First of all, North America. A lot of nations are going to get fully annexed, being, I'm using the recolor tool, being Canada, looking like this. So there we go. As well as Quebec, being the first two nations to go. We are also going to be seeing Greenland get fully annexed, as well as Iceland. Going down to here, all hopes of a big nation over here are now lost and in drain. As I said Cuba, I'll get to Cuba in a minute. As California, Texas, a large portion of Mexico. Let me just do that line. And lastly, Florida are all going to get annexed, looking like this. Going down to here, we are going to be seeing these areas, as well as these provinces down here, all get annexed into the American Empire, which is now known as yes. And we also see all of the Caribbean get annexed into America. Going down to here, these nations are going to get fully annexed into Venezuela, Colombia, Trinidad and Tobago. I never colored you in white. Trinidad and Tobago. So there we go. So those are the first two areas to get fully annexed, looking like this. All of Bolivia. All of Ecuador, sorry. Northern Peru. And a large amount of Central America are also going to get annexed. Looking like this. Instead of Grand Venezuela, we have Grand Venezuela. And going down to here, we are going to be seeing just 4 nations get formed. Brazil, Peru, I don't know, there's a nation I remember being here, I forgot the name, but I remember I'll call you it. And lastly, Argentina. Antarctica is fully split between the Soviets and China. Now, we're going over to Oceania. This is going to be a bit hard to tell without colours, so I'll say it first. All of northern Borneo is going to be going over to China, looking like this, as well as all of the islands in this area, which, now that I think about it, also includes Timor-Leste. So let me just colour them in. It smells like a barbecue in my room. I don't know why. I think some people are having a barbecue outside. I did hear some people outside earlier. Anyways, Timor-Leste is going to also get fully annexed. And lastly, going over to here, we're also going to be seeing... I keep nearly saying Venezuela. We are going to be seeing Vietnam and Laos get fully annexed, even if Laos was already on the side of China for some reason, as well as Cambodia. So yeah, there we go. Next, Japan, fully annexed into the Soviet Union. Going away from this, I'm going to be just fixing these border disputes because they're not going to be existing anymore. These ones, let's just say for some reason there was like an agreement. China probably won't agree, but who cares? Like, oh, well, this is in like the 22nd century. Who knows what's going to be going on then? Let's go over to Africa now. South Africa is going to still remain larger than they are today, but be very small compared to what they just were. And now let's go on to the annexations. Angola is going to be annexing all of this, looking like this. We are going to be seeing the DRC annex these territories. If I can shrink that brush. We're going to be annexing these territories. And the deal is going to be made so that these guys finally have a bit more coastal access. The EAF is going to be annexing these areas and Mozambique. And now let's go over to these areas. Next, we're going to be seeing this get sorted out because I don't really like it. It's kind of meaningless. But Nigeria is going to be annexing some other territories. Those being northern areas over here, such as Nigeria, as well as areas over here, looking like this. So there we go. There we go. We are going to be seeing areas get annexed from Ethiopia, being the territory of land over here, as well as this area. Hold on, I just wanted to see something real quick. Okay, sorry. Anyways, I just realized I did that wrong. That's meant to get annexed into Sudan. So, yeah, looking like this. I just remembered I have a bowl of water next to me. I'm a bit thirsty, so I'm going to have some water. Good thing I have this bottle. Over here, these areas are going to get fully figured out. So, there we go. And lastly, going up to here, these areas are going to get annexed into Libya. That's a lot of land, I know. And we are going to be seeing Morocco annex all of these territories. Still not having everything they had, because down here, but they definitely have more than what they once had, like in territory, like total. These areas I'm going to be talking about in a second, so let me just get rid of that line. Actually, no, we'll talk about the Middle East first, and the wonderful nation of Iraq. First of all, they are going to be annexing these territories from Jordan. They're going to be regaining all lands that they once had. These lands from what was Syria. And they're going to be annexing all of this. So they now have access to the Caspian. Going down to here, they're going to be annexing this. They are going to be annexing all of Quebec. I'm so dumb. That's Qatar, not Quebec. They're going to be annexing this. They are going to be annexing all of Saudi Arabia, so let me just increase the brush size. All of Saudi Arabia, there we go. Can I probably colour that in? There we go. And lastly, a majority of this northern holy city, looking like that. And we are going to be seeing the holy cities unite because of this. Why? I think it'll just make the borders look cleaner. Wait, no, I forgot. They're annexing this part. So there we go. These borders now look pretty clean. Oh, this nation. I don't know. Let's just say that they get annexed into that nation. Going away from that, we now finally go up to Europe. This absolute place. I don't know what to say about Europe, because it looks like a hellhole, this map does. I swear I'm talking about this map and not real life. Anyways, let's get on with this. Going over to here, we are going to be seeing the Balkans get absolutely demolished. In fact, I'm going to do all the land gains. We're going to be seeing Romania gain this. Turkey gains nothing, haha. We are going to be seeing this area also go over to Romania. As well as, well, not as well as. Romania. Hungary is going to be gaining this and this, as well as this area. And we are going to be seeing Italy gain a large chunk of land, gaining this, this. That's right, they now have a colony. Being one of few nations that have a colony. Going up the north, we're going to be seeing these guys also gain this, with now having all of Slovenia again. So, Slovenia, your rebellion was pointless. Going over to here, Portugal's going to be freed, and then Spain's going to get split in two. Well, technically free, as we now have a southern Spanish nation, which will be here, a northern Spanish nation, and a Catalan nation. Leon, I believe that's the city name, is going to be split free, as well as France. Bavaria is going to gain independence, as well as Hanover, as well as the as well as the Benelux, this area, and Czechia is going to be gaining this area, as well as these border provinces, and Poland is going to be gaining this. So there we go. Oh, and lastly, regarding the Nordics, this is all going to get annexed into Russia, or Soviet Union, I should say. So there we go. That is a lot to do. But now that I'm looking at this, I'm realizing I forgot to split up England. So, yeah, I was going to split up England, but I think I forgot. So how about I just do that now? Wales is going to be freed with a bit of... I think I actually did that. Oh, never mind, I'm dumb and I'm on the water layer. Wales is going to be freed, having a few extra parts, looking like this. Not like that, but we're going to be seeing Cornwall get freed, as well as Northern England gain freedom. I believe also called Northumbria. So there we go. And that is going to be the end of this peace treaty. Regarding ideologies, I'm not going to do those. But what I am going to be doing is the rankings, because those are obviously going to be changing. Actually, I'm going to be changing a couple ideas. Actually, you know what? No, if I change a couple, I might as well change all of them. I'll be back in another, probably half an hour. It's currently 7:33 for me. Okay, I'm midway through the thing. Ignore why my friends are on here. For some reason, the things are lagging a bit. The reactives are a little broken. I'm just going to be doing that. Yeah, I kind of forgot that. My bad. Okay, I am back. Like I said, hopefully it picks up. The reactors were bugging a bit. I don't know why two of my friends' reactors were on. But, oh well, I don't care. Sorry to inform, but I think I fixed it for now, hopefully. Anyways, ideologies. The Americas, communist. So is the USA. Africa, nearly fully communist with the exceptions of Ethiopia, Nigeria, Mauritania, and Western Sahara. All of Europe is nearly communist, with the exceptions of a couple nations that were in the EU: Cornwall, England, Ireland, northern Spain, Greece, and Italy being fascist. And in Asia and Oceania, nearly every single nation is communist except the Oceanic Union and Iraq, sorry. So yeah. Anyways, something I forgot to do, this little piece of territory over here. I don't think I ever gave it to anyone, so I'm just gonna spin whoever the thing lands on gets it. Good job, you get this. Anyways, oh wait, Italy also gains this. I don't think I ever said that. So yeah, now I'm gonna go do capitals. I'm gonna pause again. I have done all the capitals, but now I think it's time I do the alliances. That's right, I already am doing everything except the colored layer. I refuse to do that this episode. I'm probably gonna do that tomorrow at like 5 p.m. I don't know what time I'm getting home, because I do have to do something. Anyways, for possibly one of the last times, flashing light warning. Let's see what nations are going to be not in the Soviet bloc. Was to start off with, every nation I'm going to be colouring in is going to be red. Now let's see what nations aren't going to be red. Going to Europe, there's going to be a few nations that are going to be safe, being France, Ireland, Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Germany or Hanover, and Scotland. No, that's their name. Their name doesn't even start with S. Northern Spain. God, I'm dumb. We're going to be seeing Algeria and Nigeria join. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Or leave, as well as Ethiopia, South Africa, Brazil, and the South Argentine, or just Argentina, whatever I call them. They're going to be leaving, or not joining. And lastly, you. Well, no, not lastly. These guys aren't going to be joining. Neither is Greece, who's very small. And the last nation to not be joining is going to be the Oceanic Union, looking like this. But obviously, they're not all going to be in the same alliance. I just realized I think I colored that in wrong. That looks kind of orange to me. Never mind, I guess I'm colorblind. That's a shame. Anyways, not all of these nations are going to be in the same alliance. So let me change it. We are going to be seeing the European and Iraq nations be in the same alliance, as well as Algeria and Ethiopia. But the rest are going to be in another alliance, which I'm just going to color in green. And this alliance is going to be formed between this nation over here, Brazil, Argentina, South Africa, Nigeria, and lastly, the Oceanic Union. So there we go. But not just that. We're also going to be seeing the Axis be a bit split. As obviously, they can't have all of their areas be in the same area. As they're going to be... So they are going to be splitting their empire. They're going to be splitting the alliance. Half going to America. Yes, I know I colored in Alaska. That's just temporary. And the rest going over... So half going to America. The rest going to Soviets. So there we go. That's now fixed. And now... There's one last thing I want to do. And it involves the Soviets. They're going to be unifying with a lot of nations. And those nations are all communist nations. So let me tell you what nations they're going to be unifying with. Going over to Europe, they are going to be unifying with Finland. Also, this episode is very long now that I think about it. They're going to be unifying with them. Poland. They're also going to be unifying with Turkey. They're also going to be unifying with India. So there we go. Let me just, I don't know if there's any pixels there. They have Japan, like I said a second ago. They're going to be unifying with Kurdistan. So there we go. They're going to be unifying with Romania. If I can, let me shrink this brush. They're going to be unifying with Romania, looking like this. And lastly, but definitely most influentially, the last nation that they're going to be unifying with is going to be China. That's right. The first and second strongest nations in the world are going to be unifying. This isn't a joke. This isn't me going to go, oh, we didn't have a civil war. No, they are unifying. They are uniting into a gigantic superstate, might I say. Because if I am just to quickly get rid of all these ideologies that are no longer needed. So there we go. I believe that's all of them. I forgot about India, and I believe there's another one I'm forgetting. No, but I didn't fully do this one, so let me fix that. There we go. Let me also just fix the alliance layer, because that's going to be needing fixing. I can mainly just click on the Soviet Union here, and then I just can that, and lastly, boom. But look at this gigantic nation. In fact, that doesn't even do it justice. It's probably the size of Africa, if I'm being honest. Like, that is generally probably the size of Africa. 1.7 million pixels. If I'm to color all of Africa, and that's not even all of the Soviet Union. That's missing some islands. Yeah, that's larger than Africa. By 7... Oh, wait, I forgot about these guys up there. That's larger than... Oh, that's the whole map. That's larger than Africa. By 700,000 pixels. And now, one last thing that we need to do for this 50-minute long episode. The rankings, because these are definitely going to be different. First of all, the strongest nation in the world is going to be the Asian Empire. That's what... In fact, no, they're not even going to be calling it. They're just going to be known as Asia, basically. This gigantic superstate isn't going to be known as the Asian Republic. They are known as Asia. I forgot to get rid of the border. I'll do that in a sec. Second is going to be the American Empire. Third, Nigeria, being one of the few nations on the blue team to not lose any land, in fact gain land. Fourth, Pakistan. And then fifth, no one else here can be on fifth. So we need to go to new nations. Fifth is going to be Iraq. Sixth is going to be the nation of Libya. Seventh, Italy. 8, Oceania. 9, it is going to be Ethiopia. And 10th is going to be Angola. So there we go. Something I would like to say. There is a movie, I don't know. There is something known as 1984. One nation that was probably one of the strongest, I believe, was the Oceanic Empire Federation, whatever it was. Oceania is an 8th. That's not hinting at anything, that's just something that I found kind of cool. Well, not cool, but something I just noticed, which also means now I need to fully color in... Actually, no, there's no point fully coloring in... Oh, no. There's no point fully coloring them in. That's just going to be dark red for no reason. So, yeah. That is what these guys are going to be looking like. That's what Antarctica... Also, Antarctica, I'm just going to keep these just so we can see the promises, because I am kind of lazy. So, there we go. That is the end of this video. And because I feel like it makes sense, we're going to be changing the watercolor for possibly the last time. And it's not going to be a bit darker. It is going to be so much darker. Not just a little bit, but by a lot. In fact, that's not even enough. The world is possibly entering probably the worst state it's been in probably millennia, because it's owned by tyrannical leaders, being the Asian Empire, being the Asian leader, being Libya, Italy, all the nations of the world basically are communist, except like 10. But yeah, let me count how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 nations are democratic. Out of probably like 50. Oh wait, we only have 50 nations left. Left. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that is the end of this video. I hope you guys liked it, because it's probably the best video I have made in a while. So yeah, we're gonna. Actually, no, I'm not even gonna say, because I'm probably lying. Anyways, I'm gonna go now. I hope you guys enjoyed this 50-minute long video, for longest I've ever made of a Wixo or Terms of Future of the World. And I'm gonna go so that I can have my water. Goodbye.